Hey, you.
Who, me?
Yes, you. I got something to say.
Okay.
All right. After watching Finding Nemo, I always think of a father's love. And from that, I think of the Father from the story of the prodigal son. And I also think of Jesus' love. And in the story of the prodigal son, if you want to read along, it's in Luke 15. It starts on verse 11. And Jesus is telling the story. A man had 2 sons. The younger son told his father, "I want my share of your estate now, instead of waiting until you die." So his father agreed to divide his wealth between his sons. A few days later, this younger son packed all his belongings and took a trip to a distant land, and there he wasted all his money on wild living. About that time, his money ran out, a great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him to feed his pigs. The boy became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him, but no one gave him anything. When he finally came to his senses, he said to himself, "At home even the hired men have enough food to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I will go home to my father and I'll say, 'Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I'm no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me as a hired man.' So he returned home to his father, and while he was still a long distance away, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. His son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I'm no longer worthy of being called your son.' But his father said to the servants, 'Quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet. And kill the calf we have been fattening in the pen. We must celebrate with a feast, for this son of mine was dead and has now returned to life. He was lost and now he is found.'" So that's the father from the story of the prodigal son. And the other one was Jesus' love, the love of the Father that we get from him. And in Finding Nemo, Marlin, which was Nemo's dad, he pretty much risked everything just to get to his son. He swam across the whole ocean, overcoming all these obstacles and getting out of his comfort zone just to reach his son because he loved him so much. And with Jesus, he didn't just risk almost everything. He gave us everything that he gave us his life. He died for us. And in Romans 5:8 it says, "While we were yet sinners, Jesus Christ died for us." And in Finding Nemo, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, but at the beginning of the movie, he does what his father told him not to do, and so he was sinning against his father. And because of that, he had to deal with consequences. But regardless of that sin, his dad still loved him, and he did anything to get to him. And in the story of the prodigal son, there's this man, his son, he didn't use his money wisely. He took advantage of what his father gave him. And he too had to deal with consequences, and he was at the point where he was starving, and he was thinking that the food he was giving the pigs was good enough for him to eat. And when he returned to his father, there was no remorse or there was no anger. In verse 20 it says that, "And while he was still from a long distance away, his father saw him coming, and he was filled with love and compassion, and he ran up to him and he gave him a hug and a kiss, and then he threw a party for him." With Jesus, when we sin against him, he still loves us, and he still died for us. And you may be struggling with sin. It might be something that you've done in your past. It might be something that you're dealing with right now. And you might be to the point where you feel that that you're not worthy of being a son or a daughter of Christ. And if that's what you're thinking, then you couldn't be more wrong, because personally, I was at that state. I did some things in my past that I figured, God's never going to want me back. And I was really shameful of that. But God still loved me. And He embraces you with that love, and that's the love of a father that I want you guys to experience, because that love, that father's love, that's true love. Thank you.